Hey folks, welcome back to our Scamp life. Our channel is all about Scamp campers, fiberglass campers in general, well really just campers in general. We like to take you guys with on all of our camping adventures. If that's what you're into, stick around. 18 months ago, we purchased our first camper, which happened to be a 2006 Scamp 16-foot, otherwise known as a Scamp 16. Just thought it would be kind of cool to do another tour of Scampy, as Noah so named our camper not too long after having it. We made our first video just a couple weeks after purchasing Scampy, and well, it was kind of rough, to say the least. We were just learning how to video, we were learning how to edit at that point with our editing software. We just had a Canon point and shoot, which worked pretty good for our first few videos anyways. 18 months later, a lot has changed in our Scamp. We've moved some things around, we've removed stuff, and we've added some things to our camper.
We want to give you a new tour of Scampy.
This is our 2006 Scamp 16. Layout number 7, which means that we have the front bunks and the side bath. When we bought this camper, it was exactly what we were looking for, and it hasn't disappointed either. Up top, we have an air conditioning unit, which just about blows us out of there, along with 2 other vents, one a 2-speed fan. Up front, we've got 2 20-pound LP tanks, a holder for our sewer hose, and also a deep cycle marine battery. The battery will run just about all of the lights inside the camper, and we can get about a whole season between the 2 20-pound LP tanks. And along with the standard hitch, jack, and wiring for trailer brakes, we also added a CURT anti-sway bar, which helps keep everything traveling as one unit while we're going down the road. And to make everything easier when we get to the campsite, we added a few little levels around the camper. And walking around the outside of the camper, we have our venting for our furnace, and we have our backside of our 3-way refrigerator, which runs off of propane, battery, or plugged into shore power. And man, this thing keeps everything nice and cool. And there's our power cord, and where we hook up our hose for our city water sewer connection. We also have our gray water disposal and our black water disposal lines and tanks. We also have 2 rear stabilizing jacks. These are not leveling jacks, but they do an awesome job of keeping the camper stable when we're at camp. And of course, a spare tire, and also a place to fill up our internal water tank if we don't have city hookups. And coming around the side of the camper, or our front entry side, we have a 6-gallon propane water heater. This thing really pumps out the BTUs and keeps us in hot water all weekend long. We have a nice bright front light, and we've got a good variety of windows all the way around Scampy. Some of them are bigger than others, but they all seem to bring in a good amount of light on a good sunny day. Now this very front window here has a rock guard on the front, but that can be removed, except that's where Noah sleeps and he doesn't like it removed. We've got running lights all the way around both sides of the camper, and we just added this step this year. We've been talking about getting one, and we are so glad that we added a step. Here, it didn't really make a big difference, but other places it does. Plus, it folds up nice. A really cool feature that not all campers have is this nice little latch to keep the door in place if it's on a windy day. We also have this folding screen door, which is super handy to keep the bugs out and yet let some light and some breeze in. It easily folds back up against the wall and has a little snap to hold it into place. Then when you're ready to use it, it just folds right open. We also use a lot of Velcro around our camper to hold various things. One of those things is to keep a lighter on the outside of the camper, so that way when Sarah's unloading everything, I can be getting the fire or the grill going without even entering the camper. As entering the camper, we've got this nice little cubby which has its own little door. We use this to hold all of the stuff that we might need when we're at camp and we don't really necessarily want to enter the camper. We've got tools and things in a drawer. We've got a jack in there in case we get a flat tire. This way, if there's a bunch of stuff in the camper, it's easily accessible without having to jump over a bunch of stuff. We like to store our clothes, as we've said many times, in clothes hampers instead of actual bags. They work really, really well on the bottom bunk of Scampy and hold everything that we need. Underneath that mattress, on the very bottom, there's a couple of cubbies. We don't have a lot of things that we keep in there. In fact, when I filmed this video, we didn't have anything in either one of those, but it's nice to know that we have a little bit of extra space. And then in the back corner of that bottom bunk still again is where we hold our solar panel and the gear for that. Noah sleeps on the upper bunk, which will hold up to 150 pounds, and I've actually laid up there before at about 300 pounds and I'm fine. He's got his own nice little zone in the back. He can turn on his own little light and read at night. And we also use a lot of command strips around the camper as they stick really well to the walls, and we can use them for things like holding Kleenex boxes and other things. This is what's called our wet bath, which means it's a toilet and a shower kind of all in one. Now, we've never actually used the shower in here, and we only use the bathroom at night when it's after lights out. But if we ever needed to shower off, we could easily. Across from the bathroom is this nice little cabinet, big door, lots of storage, and I built this easy PVC shelf that I had found online. It holds our towels, our sheets, and some extra toiletries. And down below, we keep our folding laundry basket, and it's easily taken in and out of this hole. We also have a couple of hooks, again held up by command strips, just to hang wet clothes or towels on. And now we're in about the middle of our camper, which is the kitchen area. We're on the stove side, and up above the stove we have 3 cabinets, which we hold lots of goodies in. We also have our stove, which I've got covered with a little cutting board that I made just to give us some extra countertop space. And we've got some drawers that we find handy for storing things in. Also, that light there is the only one that doesn't actually run off of the front battery. We have a 2-burner stove, which is plenty sufficient for our cooking needs. And as you can see, here's use of our command strips again, holding our cutting boards. Up in those cupboards, we've got things like cereal and flour and Bisquick mix, our coffee and sugar, filters, tea, hot cocoa, and our coffee maker and toaster, which the toaster we might be getting rid of. Down below the stove, we have the only drawer, unfortunately, in the camper, so all of our silverware has to fit in there. Below that is a fairly large cabinet that we use to hold our pots and pans, our mixing bowls, our strainers, things like that. And then there's this tiny little door which you can't get much in and out of. Our Scamp also has an awesome furnace that keeps us warm on those cold nights. Here's our power inverter. And then underneath our bed, when we have it set up as a bed, we keep our camp chairs until we get to camp and pull them out. Otherwise, it holds my CPAP machine and an extra bin with some books and things like that. And if we have extra clothes or towels, we'll store those under there too. This is my power inverter that I use when we're camping off the grid. Here's our Dometic refrigerator. It's pretty empty here because we filmed this at the end of one of our trips. This little fridge actually holds a lot more than you'd think. Now over to the other side of our camper is our sink side of the kitchen. Again, I made a nice little cover for the sink for some extra countertop space. That black little mat is just there for drying our dishes. Up above that we've got a couple of cabinets, but off to the side we had just enough room to stick a paper towel holder, which was really nice. So inside these cabinets we've got our drinking cups and coffee cups, some brown sugar, some juice mixes, and some other teas and things like that. We've got bowls and plates in these cupboards, and these little bins we got from the dollar store. They were the perfect size and they fit everything nice and tightly in there. And under the sink side cabinets we have our water heater, we store our garbage can, tin foil, Ziploc baggies, and cleaning supplies. Here's the sink without that lid on it. It's a good size for us. And here again, I'm using some more creative ways of hanging things. But in this cabinet above our bed, we have our games and just some fun stuff and extra storage. The cabinet's actually quite large. There are 2 of these lights in the camper which swivel around and give us a really good amount of light in our camper. And on the other side is a matching cabinet. This we hold some extra clothes and flashlights in. There's another light, and here is our bed. Now this bed is mixed somewhere between a full-size and a queen-size bed. Sarah and I can lay comfortably on this bed together. Here is the same bed set up as a table. We don't keep it as a table very often because we eat outside mostly. There's another shot of my power inverter. Underneath the bench, on the right side, we have a lot of storage. We use our power cord underneath there, our hose, crock pot, lights, buckets, things like that. Stuff we don't have to access all the time. And on the left side is where our 6-gallon water tank and water pump are. There's not much storage left to store anything else in there. We've got power outlets on both sides of the bed, along with the on-off switch for our water pump and the thermostat control for the furnace. Underneath all the cabinets along the floor, we learned is just enough room to put most of our shoes, especially sandals, to keep them out of the way. And up above our bed, we have just a crank-up vent, which works really well for letting in fresh air. And then we've also got a 2-speed fan that will either suck the air in or push the air out. And last but certainly not least is our air conditioning unit. This thing will really pump out the cold air on those hot summer afternoons. I didn't think we'd use it as much as we do, but I'm glad we have it. So there's our Scamp tour of 2019. The cab size of our Scamp 16 is actually only 13 feet on the interior. The 16 feet is measured from ball to bumper. If you're liking what you see, and you're checked out some of our other videos and you still like those, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps us know that what we're doing is making everybody happy, and that's what we're here for, to put out good content. Until next time, God bless.